Chinese President Xi Jinping's first speech to the United Nations General Assembly, and he used the opportunity to call for a new type of international relations. Xi said it should be founded on the idea that countries big and small are treated as equals. This all happening at the 2015 UN General Assembly in New York. CCTV's Nathan King joins us from the UN with more on what President Xi proposed. Nathan.
Mike, what a day. They called it Super Monday because so many heads of state were speaking. But you could have called it Multipolar Monday because so many different and interesting views about where the world should go in the 21st century, and China right in the center of it. Calling on the world to reject the Cold War mindset and a winner-take-all mentality, Chinese President Xi Jinping said all countries are now interdependent and share common commitments to mankind.
The movement towards a multipolar world and the rise of emerging markets and developing countries have become an irresistible trend of history.
President Xi says China stands behind the current international security structure, but he called for a world of partnerships, not alliances. And demonstrating China's commitment to the UN, Xi announced $1 billion over 10 years to promote a peace and development fund. And for UN peacekeeping, China is pledging to build a standby force of 8,000 troops ready to deploy at short notice, and a permanent police squad, and another $100 million for rapid reaction peacekeeping for the African Union, cementing China's role as the biggest contributor of peacekeepers of all the permanent members of the UN Security Council. And reassuring the world on China's rapid rise, Xi said China will never seek to dominate.
We are committed to peaceful development, no matter how the international landscape may evolve and how strong China may become. China will never pursue hegemony, expansion, and spheres of influence.
In a sign of confidence in China's economy, Xi Jinping also told the global audience that it's happy to lend experience of its development model. It said countries can get on board the express train of China development, and also tried to explain the China dream, basically saying it is a national renewal that will not just benefit China, but also countries in the region and the world as well. Mike?
Definitely stepping up its commitments, also basically outlining his views on how things should go. How is this speech going down there at the UN for those who saw it?
You know, I've been covering this for a long time, as you know, these UNGAs, and I've never actually seen a China speech like it. Generally, it's very moderate, stepping back. This was actually a vision of the future of the world set by China, a permanent member of the Security Council whose responsibilities have been growing, as we were saying, the biggest contributor to peacekeeping among the P5. But it's more than that. As a developing country that became developed but still has developing to do, China feels it's uniquely placed to help out the countries that have been perhaps overlooked in the post-World War II architecture in the last 70 years, and use best practices to try and bind the global South together. All those things are getting a lot of applause, as you heard, from countries that may have been overlooked here. The big question is, will it stick? You know, it's great to see the biggest global gathering of world leaders. It's great to see all these commitments. As we know, though, Mike, the United Nations has not always been the best vehicle to deliver that development, although it's had successes from disease to children's health to lifting people out of poverty, but it requires a concerted effort. And I think the real takeaway from this is there's a feeling that there's a much more multipolar approach to addressing the world's problems than we have seen at any time since this organization came into existence.
Very fascinating. Nathan King, live for us at the United Nations.